IELTS Speaking Part 1 test. I'll be acting as your examiner today. We will go through 5 questions from the list provided in ImageLink to .png, one by one. I will ask a question, wait for your response, and then give you constructive feedback along with a high-scoring sample answer to help you improve. Let's begin with our first question. Question 1. How often do you use social media? Whenever you're ready, please give me your answer.
I use social media on a daily basis. It helps me stay connected with my friends. In addition, I use it to keep up with current trends and entertainment.
That is a solid, well-structured answer. You directly addressed the question and provided 2 clear reasons to support it. Feedback on your answer. Fluency and coherence. Very smooth. You use the transition phrase "in addition" effectively to connect your ideas. Lexical resource. Phrases like "on a daily basis" and "stay connected" are natural and accurate. To push for a higher band score, 7.0 plus, you could swap out common words for more idiomatic expressions, e.g., scroll through my feeds, keep in touch, or digital platforms. Grammatical range and accuracy. Your grammar is flawless, but the sentence structures are quite simple. Try combining ideas using complex sentences, e.g., not only do I use it to, but I also. High-scoring sample answer. To be honest, I use social media pretty much around the clock. It's an indispensable tool for me to keep in touch with my classmates, and it also serves as my go-to source for entertainment whenever I want to catch up on the latest viral trends. Let's move on to the next question from ImageLink to .png. Question 2. How often do you read books? Take your time and give it your best shot. Get your best shot. Best shot. Best shot.
From time to time, I read books whenever I have some free time, especially before bed, because I find it really unwind after a long day.
You're doing great. That was a very natural and relatable response. I noticed a small incomplete thought at the end. I'm assuming you meant to say unwind, but the overall structure is exactly what examiners look for in Part 1. Feedback on your answer. Fluency and coherence, starting with "so," gives your speech a very natural conversational flow. Your ideas progressed logically, from when you read to why you do it. Lexical resource. Whenever I have some free time and after a long day are excellent natural collocations. Assuming your last word was unwind, that is a high-level vocabulary choice. Just remember the grammatical structure. You can say, "I find it really helps me unwind," or "I find it really relaxing." Grammatical range and accuracy. Your use of subordinating conjunctions, whenever, because, created a well-constructed complex sentence. High-scoring sample answer. Honestly, I try to dive into a book whenever I can catch a break, particularly right before hitting the sack. Since my daily schedule can be quite hectic, reading a few pages is the perfect way for me to unwind and clear my mind. Let's move on to our third question from the list in ImageLink to .png. Question 3. How often do you exercise? I'm ready whenever you are.
I exercise 3 or 4 times a week, mainly by playing football. It helps me stay in shape and blow off some steam after studying and connect with my friends.
Another fantastic response. You used some excellent idiomatic expressions here that examiners absolutely love to hear. Feedback on your answer. Fluency and coherence. You gave a perfectly paced answer for Part 1. You stated the frequency clearly and smoothly expanded on your response with your favorite activity and its benefits. Lexical resource. Outstanding vocabulary. Phrases like stay in shape and blow off some steam are top-tier, natural idioms that easily push your score into the band 7.0 plus range for vocabulary. Grammatical range and accuracy. Your grammar is highly accurate. The only minor critique is the phrasing at the very end. After studying and connect with my friends, repeating and can make the sentence feel slightly repetitive. To make it sound more seamless, you could say, after studying, while also catching up with my friends. High-scoring sample answer. I make it a point to break a sweat 3 to 4 times a week, primarily by playing football with my peers. It's not only a great way to stay in tip-top shape, but it also allows me to blow off some steam after a grueling day of studying. Let's move on to our fourth question from ImageLink to .png. Question 4. How often do you go to the cinema? Whenever you're ready, let me know your thoughts.
I go to the cinema once in a while. I go to the cinema once in a while, usually with my friends. To be honest, I go to the cinema once in a while, usually with my friends. To be honest, I up to my ears in because of school. But whenever there a new blockbuster movie, I like to catch it on the big screen. It's a great way to unwind and take a break from studying.
You have some excellent ideas here, and you attempted some really high-level vocabulary and idioms. With a bit of fine-tuning on word choice and sentence structure, this would be a top-scoring response. Feedback on your answer. Fluency and coherence. You used great natural transitions and fillers like to be honest and once in a while. Just be careful not to rush, as a few words got a bit jumbled in the middle. Lexical resource. I love that you tried using the idiom up to my ears in, meaning very busy, and phrases like blockbuster movie and catch it on the big screen. However, keep an eye on a couple of words. Instead of go to see the cinema, it should be go to the cinema. You mentioned it's a great way to advise. You most likely meant unwind, relax, or decompress. Grammatical range and accuracy. Watch out for missing linking verbs. The verb to be. For example, I up to my ears, right arrow. I am up to my ears. Whenever there a new, right arrow. Whenever there is a new. In a great way, right arrow. It is a great way. High-scoring sample answer. To be fair, I only go to the cinema once in a while, usually with my friends. I'm often up to my ears in schoolwork, but whenever there's a new blockbuster out, I love to catch it on the big screen. It's just a fantastic way to unwind and take a much-needed break from studying. Let's move on to our fifth and final question from ImageLink to .png. Question 5. How often do you go shopping? Give it your best final effort.
From time to time, I go shopping with my friends and or my parents. Usually, I buy clothes or everyday items. Besides that, I sometimes shop online because it's much more convenient.
That is an excellent way to wrap up our session. You delivered a very clear, accurate, and well-paced answer. Feedback on your answer. Fluency and coherence. Your response flowed beautifully. Signposts like from time to time, and besides that, made your transition from brick-and-mortar shopping to online shopping very smooth. Lexical resource, from time to time, is a fantastic idiomatic phrase for frequency. To make it sound even more natural in spoken English, try to avoid saying and or out loud. It tends to sound a bit like a written contract. Instead, you can say, with my friends, or sometimes my parents. Grammatical range and accuracy. Your grammar was completely error-free. You